Welcome to Grawlix Nights, the Grawlix Podcast live show. I'm Randy.
I'm Melanie.
And I'm Jesse.
Tonight, Loki out-doctors the Doctor. And we finished the cavity. We watched Sweet Tooth. I didn't have a good setup for that one. I didn't.
Truth to be told,
we finished season 1 of Sweet Tooth, so we figured we'd talk about that as well. Savannah said, yes, episode 3 of Loki. Yeah, I'm actually pretty excited to get to that. But first, what's going on, guys? How you guys doing?
Nothing. Or, I'm fine.
I'm
doing well.
That's how you doing, Randy? Nothing. That's how I feel sometimes. Whoa, dude, you almost said a bad word. By the way, hi, Savannah. What bad word? What bad word?
I think it was...
Go ahead.
I think it was just the elongated F, maybe, is what she's thinking of.
Probably. Finesse.
Mm-hmm.
Savannah bought a pool.
Mm-hmm.
Savannah, I heard your pool is slightly limp.
That's why they make pool noodles.
Oh, yeah, nice. Is that why they're always talking about like hard water and soft water?
I don't really know.
I don't think it is. Anyway, how are you two? Oh, I already asked you guys that. Oh,
We're rip roaring.
we are. I'm going to take this opportunity to do, like I said, which I always forget to do, and I'm going to share this elsewhere on Facebook. Sorry, we're having trouble playing this video. Well, Savannah can watch, so I trust that it's working. And I'm going to share it to my friends.
In the world?
And I'm going to share it to grawlixpodcast.com. Wait, no. To facebook.com/group/grawlixpodcast.
Mm-hmm.
You should all be there. Go join that group. We actually post there sometimes. More than anywhere else on social media anymore.
Mm-hmm. And I got some pretty good memes, so, you know.
Yeah.
She is the meme mistress.
We don't mess around when it comes to memes and groups.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I might as well give this a share on the Electronic Media Collective Facebook page, where you can find our show and all kinds of other shows at electronicmediacollective.com or emcpod.net if that's easier for you to remember.
Mm-hmm.
All the places you could watch us.
Mm-hmm. I don't think there's anything that I watched that we aren't already scheduled to talk about.
How about you, Jesse? Did you watch anything else? I feel like you probably didn't, but
I basically finished up Sweet Tooth. The rest of the time I've been like reading comics and whatnot. So like I've gone through and I've been reading some Daredevil, and then I've been reading Sweet Tooth kind of right alongside, and we'll get into that. But like the comic, and I mentioned it before, but the comic's so dark. It's so dark.
Right.
But there's some fun Easter eggs in the show that I wouldn't be aware of if it wasn't for the fact that I've been kind of diving into Jeff Lemire's other stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I believe anything we discussed previously on the show, back when comics was the main thing we talk about instead of just shows based on comics, which is all we talk about now.
Uh-huh.
We've reviewed, I think, a couple Jeff Lemire things, and always had favorable opinions.
Yeah.
Like Black Hammer? Was that
Black Hammer
Lemire?
in particular? Yep, that's Lemire.
And I believe it was his run on Animal Man that Melanie and I were really kind of taken with.
Oh, yeah, I
He's
really like that.
Really well known. I believe he did a run on Hawkeye for Marvel. That was
I read that also.
critically, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was
that
good.
was like a big deal too.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Moon Knight. Was it Moon Knight that he had to run on too?
There was around that time. There was a new there was a new Moon Knight series that people were enjoying. I read a couple issues, I think.
Is that Canadian one? I thought he went to a Canadian superhero after Animal Man.
I don't think I don't
maybe
think
maybe
that's
I'm thinking of somebody
necessarily
else.
it, but I'm not sure.
Well, Animal Man sounded dumb to me, and it was good. It was not only was it good, it tied into Swamp Thing and several other things too. So yeah, it was great.
Yeah, Animal Man and Swamp Thing from the beginning of the New 52 reboot through pretty much the entire like Animal Man run. I think it ended shortly after that.
Mm-hmm.
They were very entwined,
Mm-hmm.
and Scott Snyder was writing Swamp Thing, and I was
Mm-hmm.
super excited about that because I've loved everything else I've read of his. And of course, I love Swamp Thing, but I would actually argue that Animal Man run
Mm-hmm.
was actually way better. Of the two,
I
it
agree.
was the one that I was most taken with.
Yeah, it also was very dark.
Okay, Matt says, I can't see this video. I'm getting sorry, we're having trouble playing this video. Okay, yeah, I was having the same issue when I was trying to share it. Are we actually going live? Savannah can see it. What is the deal?
It's sad.
Are
nobody-
we being... We're shadow banned.
Oh no! Go watch us on Twitch. We're not shadow banned there. I don't think, because I'm hosting us on my channel, and I have.
Oh, are you?
Maybe 2 followers, so that matters.
Oh, yeah, we are on Twitch, though. Yeah, twitch.com or twitch.tv/probably Grawlix podcast, because that's where we're at everywhere.
Mhm.
If you're watching us on Twitch and you feel like hosting us, we would not hate that.
And you can also check us out on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Grawlix podcast. So if you're having trouble with the Facebook page, Facebook feed for some reason, which is kind of a bummer because that's where most of our interaction comes from.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I'm not. Yeah, why? Facebook, what you do?
It's
yeah,
Facebook.
no, it's not playing it for me either. Well, that's a bummer. Hop over to our Twitch or YouTube. I wonder if I can,
Which I suppose if they are not getting the video, they aren't even hearing that.
Oh, yeah.
So I wonder if we can
Let's remedy this.
comment on
That's what I was thinking.
Maddie's comment. And for those of you listening to the audio here in the future, apologies.
Sorry.
I'm not sorry. That's
Hey,
it.
it's a live show.
Yeah, I know.
Jerry the Gnome. And I like it. I wonder if his personality changes when he hops over to Twitch. Yeah. Follow Maddie D over to Twitch.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, where are our links? There we go. Watch on Twitch. Copy link address. Where's our... Okay. Let me go to the actual post.
Mm-hmm.
I can't... Hey, so... Oh.
So did you say that you did tell Maddie D the Gabe thing with the Batman movie?
No, I forgot.
We watched the Batman 66, whatever, with my nephew many years ago when he was still young, and was it the Joker or Riddler? I can't remember.
It might have been Riddler.
Okay, so Riddler comes on, and my nephew's like, "Why is he dressed like a drug dealer?" And I was like, if drug dealers dressed like that, it'd be a lot easier to spot him, I think. But
Yeah.
it was hilarious to me, and it's one of those things that I'll always remember. I can't remember what movie I watched last week, but I will remember that always.
Hey, is that a like news that you can announce? Why are we talking about Batman 66?
Just one
Yes, but 1 second. Let me finish typing this thing, or else I'll never post it. Hold on.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair. Speaking of Batman 66, then it's never a good place to hide a bomb.
Mm.
There, padding for time.
Okay. The reason, yeah, Matt said, sure, it drops. By the way, Savannah, it's not even showing us your comments anymore from Facebook. So the last one we have is you're here, but you've made comments since then. So, the reason we mentioned that is because earlier this week I recorded a movie commentary with Matty D for his podcast, 60s Reboot podcast, in which we watched Batman the movie from 1966. And yeah, it was a proper commentary. So when that comes out, he says the 1st of this coming month, July 1st, you find yourself a copy of Batman the movie, which you can actually find on YouTube for free, and it's a legit copy. It's not HD though. I was like, they only have the SD. That sucks. But it's like one of those, like, you know, it's not necessarily like a suspect rip of it somebody uploaded. It seems like it's an official like release that you can watch for free. Fire it up, sync it up with when Matty D says to hit play, and watch along with us. Okay, Savannah, now I can see your comment. I see that comment anyway. Facebook's rolling out podcast features.
Is it?
Yeah. I mean, I have not seen any on there yet, but they're rolling out podcast features, including live rooms, which is a feature they toyed with years ago, but it's basically like you can go in a group and start a live audio only stream, which is something I've been after for forever.
Waited until Clubhouse and Spotify beat them
Yep.
to it, and now you're finally going to get it.
That's Facebook. You wait till somebody else does it and then do it worse. If you can't buy that other company, just do it worse.
Right.
Yeah.
What a mess. What a mess. They're constantly, you know what? I'm not going to get into it.
Yeah.
Working with their videos, like, because they made a big push for video at a certain point, and they bought some shows and were producing originals that, did anyone know that?
No.
No. Exactly.
But I did discover recently that in the chat you can watch a movie together, which was kind of crazy.
Right. Yeah, that is like, you know, on Messenger and stuff. But if you want to try to like maintain a page like a YouTube channel or have a bunch of videos and stuff, for a while they had some okay, still kind of convoluted tools for maintaining your video library. Recently they changed it. It's such a hassle. Like it's a mess. They take the Windows approach of, let's not just make new stuff. Let's just make menus on top of menus on top of menus and bury things.
Right. Yeah. I hate that.
That also reminds me, this is 100% off topic, Windows 11. Remember how Windows 10 was going to be the last Windows you ever needed? Windows 11's coming soon.
Well,
I think it was recently confirmed that it will be a free upgrade. My thing is, like, then why call it Windows 11? Because I thought the understanding was, I thought the deal was, you know what, maybe they do want to charge some people. I don't know. But I thought the deal was they were claiming Windows 10 was the last Windows that they'd ever release, and they would just continually upgrade it. So why even call it Windows 11? I don't know.
right.
Because some of us hate Windows 10 and with passion and don't want anything to do with it. So if they're going to do something else, then make it something else. Because, yeah, I hate Windows 10.
But don't give it a number. Like, I don't know. I suppose that didn't work so well for Millennium Edition or XP. Like they eventually died too.
They need to come up with something better. They need to be like Windows Awesome or something fun, you know? Then people will be like, yeah, I want some Windows Awesome.
Yeah.
Windows fun. No, I don't know.
Windows, not creepy or spying on all your activities. We swear.
Welcome to Windows Cleaner.
Yeah. Or Windows, look in. Yeah.
Welcome to Windows Transparency.
Yeah.
Windows, you'll never have to. You will never have to upgrade again edition.
Yeah,
I mean,
brevity. I like it.
you can stop upgrading. It's just not a great idea.
Yeah, just nothing will work.
Except hackers. Hackers will work.
That's true. They
Yes.
never stop working.
That's kind of the thing. Like security updates, definitely that's the thing. Okay, so back on topic a little bit. Melanie, you mentioned something that you.
Mhm.
Oh no, you mentioned you hadn't really watched much. Jesse, you were talking about comics. I'm catching back up with where we were.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
We were going to talk about stuff we.
So Melanie and I started watching a new show on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
We won't get too much into it because it's not your typical. It's not the typical. It's not based on a comic book as far as I know. So
Yeah.
we don't talk about it. I'm kidding. Anyway,
Like that comic book show that we talk about all the time, The Crown.
yeah, yeah.
It's classic.
I'm sure somewhere in the world there's got to be a comic book about royalty.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure.
Tom King wrote that, right?
Yeah, right. Oh man. And then there was a big controversy over who will do what sex acts. Moving on. Do you think Loki and Grandmaster who's Captain Jack on YouTube? Hi, Captain Jack.
That's a great question.
Maybe
They kind of imply that a little they
what's
imply
the
that in
quickest-
the movie, and then they also imply some things in this most recent episode of
Mm-hmm.
Loki.
What's the quickest way to get in somebody's good graces? Come on.
Yeah.
Plus, wouldn't you?
You saw the back of his spaceship.
He did have, a confirmed orgy ship, so why not? So, before we get into that type of talk,
Wait, I don't remember that on the show notes.
Katla, Katla. It's a show that Melanie and I started watching. We're probably halfway through the season, and it is, I believe, where is it from? It's Icelandic.
Uh-huh. Yeah, which I guessed from not even the trailer. I think I just read the description of it, and I was like, yeah, some weird Iceland volcano that's gonna be awesome. And it was. Both things.
So in Katla, a year after a subglacial volcano erupts. So yeah, Iceland. Okay. Anyway, mysterious elements from prehistoric times emerged from the melting ice. I feel like that's not true, or that's a spoiler. Bringing unforeseen consequences.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and I don't want to say too much because it's got such a great premise, but it's one of those shows, those shows where it's like people disappeared years ago and then suddenly they're back and they haven't aged a day. That type of thing happens,
But weirder.
and it's spelled like it's Katla with a K. Are there any good backdrops I can show?
It all looks kind of
Is that nudity?
gray because
That's not proper nudity.
it's a volcano spewing ash onto ice, so everything's kind of slushy and gray and gross.
Well, that's something I was gonna say. Let me share my screen here. Is that nudity? I feel like there's like not actual nudity, but there's close to nudity.
Mm-hmm.
It's simultaneously like the most depressing, ugly looking setting, but also like super beautiful. And there's some really weird imagery. Like that's not even good, because there's a part where the shapes come out, or like in some water, and you can't see their head or anything. And I couldn't tell what it was, and Melanie's like, I think those are backs.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, I don't know.
Yeah, this is right after that where they started rising up and you could actually tell what they were.
Okay. There's just really interesting, creepy imagery.
Mm-hmm.
Facebook, there's no nudity, or YouTube for that matter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. It's so good, but it's definitely in the supernatural mystery area. Thematically, it's horror, and there's definitely things that are horror-ish, but it's not presented like a horror show or a horror movie. Sounds like the series on Netflix called Glitch. No, yeah, it's like it's the premise is definitely different than Glitch because there are two shows that are like the exact same premise, and I don't know if one is an American remake of the other or if it's coincidental. But there's the Glitch, and then the Return or something like that are like the same premise.
Mm-hmm.
This has kind of like that idea, but it's different.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm assuming it's different. I never watched either of those other series far enough to like find out what the deal was.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the setting is like so small Icelandic town with their an erupting volcano, like not just active, like it's erupting. So most of the town is what's the word?
Evacuated?
Yes, thank you. Evacuated.
Yeah.
And so like you've got a pretty small cast. There's several people, pretty small cast. The town, it just feels like apocalyptic. The
Yeah.
town is like they walk through and it's so weird because they're just going about like they're doing their thing, living their life, and like destroyed cars on the street.
Mm-hmm.
Half this like there's just ash and muddy snow everywhere. It's pretty cool.
They end up having to take out some animals because they're sick from being out in all that and stuff like that, which that's a whole nother weird thing that they do with them. But yeah, it's really interesting. I would suggest that anybody who's interested in anything supernatural or even like the moody like horror type stuff, check it out.
It's got a slight air of Twin Peaks, not so much in the quirkiness, but it's got. And Twin Peaks didn't have like necessarily always a dark, somber tone. It would go that way because that's David Lynch's like natural default. But it's got the like small rural town where you get interesting insights to these people's lives, even though like nothing is really normal.
Mm-hmm.
But they're still like doing their normal stuff, and so you kind of get I don't know. It's a little Twin Peaks flavor, but it's not like weird like that.
Real quick, I would say it's totally depressing stuff, but the people in it don't really even seem all that depressed. But remember, Iceland is like the happiest place on earth, I think. But we should move on because it's been 20 some minutes and we only are supposed to be on for an hour. So let's go.
Okay, so do we want to do Loki first or do we want to do Sweet Tooth?
We should do Sweet Tooth and then save Loki because Loki's the feature, right?
Yes.
All right.
We will have to go to the grocery store. Oh, look, volcanic ash. Yeah. No, I mean, it's
Would that happen on a Wednesday? Would it be Ash Wednesday?
It's ash every day, including Wednesday.
I just made like a Judeo-Christian joke.
But there are no Good Fridays.
Oh man, deep cut.
Yeah, let's jump over to Sweet Tooth then. So
From one apocalypse to another.
Yeah, no kidding. The tone of Sweet Tooth is much different though. It's much more upbeat than this show. It's much more upbeat than it probably should be.
Right.
Really, yeah. Nothing good is happening in the show, but we're all friends.
Right. So Sweet Tooth is a Netflix show. We've talked about it in the past. I think before we'd all watched maybe the first couple of episodes, you'd read some of the comic, but we've all finished the first season. It is definitely a show that I hope we'll get another season, or else it'll feel like this was a lot of wasted time.
Yeah.
These comments. There's not like any like comments that are bad or anything. I'm so easily mentally derailed by them.
Mhm. Um, I
It's,
I've been thinking about, because Jesse mentioned earlier that the comic is much more dark than the series, and I kind of like the difference in tone. It makes it stand out, maybe, but there's some things that I definitely think should be a little darker, and one of them for me is the main character. He's just too sweet. I mean, I know he's sweet tooth and whatever, but I don't know. There's just something about him that doesn't fit right to me.
Well, and if you look at the way that Jeff Lemire's art uh, portrays like everyone, it's never as sweet as
Mhm.
this sweet tooth. Like nothing
Yeah.
nothing ever feels as safe or as
Hmm.
uplifting as this show does.
Right.
by the way, hi Dana. Dana, what's going on? He says Sweet Tooth is a great show.
Hmm.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I like how the Lapis episode brought everybody together, because I hate when, especially since we don't know if it's gonna be renewed, I hate when a show has like bunches of different groups of people, and then they never come together. So you're got to try to follow all these different threads the whole time, and sometimes, I mean, it's not like I'm easily confused, but I just don't want to. It's better when they weave in and out with each other. It makes it more interesting, you know.
Yeah. I think that it's been crafted really well because, like, in the comic, uh, it all kind of ends the same. The first volume does, but you don't have any of the context that you have that this season has given us. Like,
Oh, interesting.
you don't know anything about Jeopard's backstory. You don't know about him being a dad and whatnot. Spoilers, I guess I should say.
Yeah.
It's been hinted at
Hmm.
earlier, like that there was maybe a family involved, but we get a lot more backstory to that. We get more hints. We run into characters from Jeopard's past. Also, Jeopard is totally different.
Hmm.
Really?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Like, again, I don't want to spoil the comic either because, like, that was one of the first things where I was like, wow, this is different.
Hmm.
that relationship that they kind of have and foster very early on between Sweet Tooth and Jeopard. In the comics, Jeopard
Hmm.
is kind of looking out for Sweet Tooth, but like it takes a twist and
Oh.
then it takes another twist, and you're just like, who are you, Jeopard? Who are you?
Hmm.
I do like, I mean, you kind of know. You don't know. Okay, I get the reference
We don't know
now.
gets about Sweet Tooth.
Yeah, we don't
Hmm.
know gets about Sweet Tooth. That's old school reference. But that one that will never die. Um I mean, you kind of know he's from the get-go. It's like, okay, he's going to be his buddy or whatever.
Uh-huh.
But I like that they kind of fairly quickly dropped his like, just bug off, kid, stop following me. They kind of dropped that pretty quick, and he's just like, he's a good kid. Don't discourage him. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
he's yeah. They made him super likable, but almost to the point where other people's reactions to him seem off. And I get that, like, he was a different guy back then, but
Hmm.
I guess maybe he is almost too likable to be considered like the bad dude that he potentially was.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Especially in this last episode, considering the backstory that they gave for him. If what he was saying was true, then what he ended up doing that would have made him a bad guy is way, way worse. But
right,
they don't really talk about that at all. But maybe they will if they do another season. I don't know.
Which is where it's so different from the comic, because in the comic it's like you get that impression that he is dangerous from
Hmm.
day one, and if anything, maybe he has a change of heart and it's slowly redeeming him as this narrative goes on.
Hmm.
Whereas I don't know like what we're gonna find out about Jeopard's backstory in the show and how it will differ, but like when will we get to that dark stuff? Because in the comic, like
Hmm.
he's like the Punisher practically.
Oh.
oh
Like he's
really?
like, yeah, he's like, I'm gonna friggin' kill everyone.
Okay.
Like
What
he
a fun-
says it. He
Yeah.
says it.
That sounds fun.
I'm not wild about the other companion with them.
Bear.
Yeah, Bear. She's okay. I don't know. I feel like overall I like the show a lot.
Yeah.
It continued to look great. The production is fantastic on it, and the character the character most of the characters are okay. I feel like the writing dips occasionally, and mostly in the characterizations, or at least or more how the characters react, because so we finally get the big like where Sweet Tooth came from, the truth about his mother and all that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when they're finding stuff out about that, like when Sweet Tooth and the group are finding stuff out about that, the other two, Bear, what's the guy's name?
Shepherd.
Yes. Their reactions didn't seem right to me. It just didn't seem natural. And they
Yeah.
would also like, do you remember does that place sound familiar to you? Yeah, there was a lot of rumors when the blah, 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 when the virus broke out. And it's like, first off, okay, maybe he wouldn't think that. She was like 6
Yeah. Yeah.
or something.
Exactly.
She wouldn't know anything about these rumors. And then it's like dialogue that they are saying for our benefit.
Right.
But they wouldn't necessarily even think that or know that.
right.
That bugs me a little bit. That's kind of a little lazy writing. And then the way they handled Sweet Tooth when Sweet Tooth is freaking out, it's like, what are you doing? Like, I get that they're not used to like raising kids, maybe. Although she should have more experience in that, from what we know,
Because she is a kid.
because she put together, she's
I guess-
Rufio. She put
Yeah, that's
together
true.
her kid army.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming they would bring in young kids or younger kids.
Mm-hmm.
I guess there aren't
Well,
a whole lot of young
I
kids,
don't know
are
because
there?
I was gonna say most of the younger kids are gonna be the what are they
Your-
called? I want to say variant, but I know that's wrong. That's Loki getting in there.
Hybrids.
Hybrids, yeah.
Right. Yeah, okay, maybe you're right. Still though,
Mm-hmm.
the way they reacted, like, 'cause essentially he was like, so like, I'm adopted or whatever, basically, and I feel like they just did not react well to that.
Mm-hmm.
Like Jebbard, don't just sit there like, just be like, no, it's fine, kid. Like,
Yeah.
just try to like help him relax or something. Like, try to chill him out. Don't be like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Neither
again though,
neither of them seems very good with kids, actually, in
Right.
that scene at least.
And again, especially his reaction feels like for our benefit. It's like he's reacting the way we're supposed to feel right now, instead of the way that character might react. And so that bugs me a little bit. I feel like the writing dips a little bit into that.
Did you guys see it coming at all?
Kind of, except I'm still confused, honestly, about the technical stuff of his, conception and birth. I'm like, from the setup that they gave us, I have lots of questions about
Is
how
his
he
mama
ended up
chicken?
him.
Is
Yeah.
his mama chicken? That's what I want to know.
Did he hatch?
Because it seems like
I mean,
he
I
was
don't
born
underst-
from a chicken.
Yeah. So I don't really know. That is what I'm curious about. And if I were them, that's what I would be reacting to. I'd be like, what? I wouldn't be like, oh no, you're strange or whatever. I don't know.
Like in the comic, it's just matter of fact, and they just rip the Band-Aid right off, and they
Really?
just like, yeah.
Is it a chicken? Did he get hatched from a chicken?
I mean,
egg?
like, no, I'm like, they don't get into the details. They just go, hey, you are
oh,
this.
interesting.
Yeah,
You are the this, and we know this because of a very obvious thing.
but it's not, because she's like, it's a miracle. The character that is in the flashbacks, talking about he's a miracle. Okay, so he miraculously came from an egg. Otherwise, it's not a miracle. You did some messed up science, and you're to blame for everything. That makes a huge difference to the story, but they don't address it at all, really.
I think he was. Yeah. What came first, the chicken or the egg? It was a deer boy, apparently.
Oh dear.
How you inject some like frozen iced DNA into a chicken egg and get deer human. I don't know, but that's how it seems.
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay with that. It's weird.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm not okay with is the fact that he's the only one of the animal children that doesn't look completely ridiculous. Everyone looks ridiculous. They have, and I get it. Whatever. They're supposed to be cute, but like most of the makeup jobs are like the Wolfman style of animal human hybrid, where it's like
Mm-hmm.
human face and then just like some hair and stuff, and it looks so silly.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't hate the Paddington Bear looking gopher kid, where he's just like suddenly
he's so
It's so-
cartoony though.
it's
Yeah.
so out of place though. Yeah, it
Yeah.
doesn't mesh with anything. It doesn't look like the other kids. It's a straight up cartoon character, animatronic or whatever it is most of the time, put in this show where there's nobody else that even looks like that, and it's so weird.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's kind of, I don't know. It's not Uncanny Valley territory. It's just like Melanie's nightmares from when she was a kid. When I'm pretty sure you've talked about this on the show,
I'm sure.
Oh,
we
yeah.
have.
where
Yeah.
there was a great 90s commercial where it was the same thing, where it's like a stuffed animal or a cartoon mascot comes to life. It's like, hey kids, and everybody's like, starts freaking out because that's a horror show if it really happened to you.
Yeah.
That's what that little gopher child looks like to me. It's like everyone should scream at that
Mhm.
child, not
Mhm.
because it's a hybrid, but because it's a cartoon and should not exist.
Right.
I'm gonna hit you with a link to what they look like in the
Oh, interesting.
in the comic
Mhm.
here in the private chat.
Can I just real
So you
quick?
can see what Bobby looks like.
Mhm. I wanted to make a comment about something you said last episode about the doctor guy, and they have a lot of backstory for him in the show. I think you were saying maybe a little bit that they don't have in the comic, and that makes way more sense to me because he goes kind of bad in like a weird way that I don't necessarily buy. I mean, I understand loving your spouse and stuff, but
Yeah.
it just doesn't seem right to me, and that's another one of those things that I think is bad writing, kind of.
Yeah. And
Trying to make him good or better than he was, that just makes it seem fake, you know?
yeah, in the comic, he just has like a backstory that's not congruent with the show at all. He in the comic, he had a wife and daughter, and they're both
Mhm.
dead. And so like his mission is to try and figure this all out by any means necessary, and also because he's under the thumb of Abbott, which Abbott is also way scarier. Like
Mhm.
he's just intimidating in the comic, and in this he feels like Boris and Natasha from the Rocky and Bullwinkle show.
Right. He looks like a skinny Dr. Robotnik, and he just comes across as like a generic mustache twirling villain. Like, I don't. He seems so. Yeah. That's another. I know we're complaining, and I said I like it. I do like the show, but like, that's another. I've had that complaint. I just don't. I don't get that guy. First off, Jeff Lemire has such a like specific style. It's somewhere between like awesome artist and child drawing, right? Like he has that certain style he likes to do.
Billy is a horror show. If that was a real thing in real life, I would kill it.
Whoa, right here, this guy.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like a Boy Scout with teeth, you know.
No.
Like
That's like a saber-tooth gremlin or something. Yeah, no.
and he does talk a little bit more like Schmeagol or something, you know, like he's just like, I'm Bobby. And that's about all he can say in the comic.
Yeah. That reminds me, I didn't say it then, but I was totally thinking when they have the group of kids together at one point, I'm like, did they have baby signing time to teach all these kids so that they all learned how to do sign language to each other? But yeah, that's just a little passing thing.
Maddie B. I just seen the comment. I will put the comment on the screen for a moment, but I'm not going to read it out loud. That is ridiculous.
Oh my god.
Sorry,
Wow.
audio listeners. Oh, some things you
This
just
is
don't
why
say.
you gotta tune in live.
Mm-hmm.
The bat, or not the bat, pig girl, I guess.
Yeah.
Why do I keep thinking she's a bat?
Because
She
you
also
love
looks.
Batman.
she also looks weird in the show. I don't know. This is a pretty good example of some things don't translate well to live action. Sometimes, I don't know, you kind of have to. It's so weird, and I think maybe that's what bugs me about the Gopher Boy or whatever he is like, you kind of have to pick one or the other because they have this strange wide variation between super realistic with Pig Girl, which I do not like the way she looks in the show, or Sweet Tooth himself, or super cartoony like the Gopher Boy.
Yeah.
But when you do both and then have a bunch of cheap Wolfman children running around, like, it's weird, and I don't like that. Everything else about the show looks great. The effects are good. I'm not wild about the character design. I guess is the best way to put it. The character design's weird.
But it's still a good show, so watch it.
Yeah.
Right.
I do want to see where they go with it.
Yes.
Like I'm 3 volumes into the comic, and now I'm just like, what are they gonna do next? Because it's so wildly different, and like, I don't think Bear even exists, and if she does exist, I haven't gotten to her yet.
Oh wow, that's weird.
So
yeah,
it's an interesting, and obviously this comes from the comic book, but it's an interesting enough idea.
Yeah.
That I can overlook the flaws because the rest, like, most of it's not that bad. It's pretty good, and we just, we like it because we just crapped on it,
right,
while saying we liked it. So that's how we like a thing.
Also, we have a long history of hating on Stephen Moffat making everything a fairy tale, and this has a little bit of that vibe. So of course we were going to hate that part.
Because if we're going to talk Sweet Tooth, I have to mention it. That narrator, somebody,
he's got to go.
Let him out of the booth. Take away his bottle of whiskey. He needs to stop drinking himself to tears and then recording narration for this TV show. He sounds like he's about his voice. It sounds like he's going to cry. It's too much. It's too folksy or something. It's too much. And it's not necessary.
They did the country version of an Auld Lang Syne. Like, that's why is that the song that is the through line for this season? Like, hey, we're gonna burn down a house because the sick might be in there. Let's all join hands and sing Auld Lang Syne.
Right.
Maybe the narrator is a grown-up Sweet Tooth, and that's what he becomes, some country drunk.
That's why he's referring to himself in the third person. He's like, he doesn't acknowledge Gus anymore. He's Sweet Tooth now.
Gus died years ago.
Gus died years ago. I ate him like a Choco Rocket.
Maddie D says everything should be narrated by Morgan Freeman. That would fix it. I mean, that's kind of the thing. It's like, and that's
where Gus's story began.
That almost startled me. I did not see that coming. Christopher Walken. That, of course, that would be that's the best case scenario.
Who knew they were at the zoo?
Everybody, because they drop pamphlets around the country. That whole thing was ridiculous to me too. We know there's people out here hunting them. Let's announce where we are to everyone and not expect bad things to happen. Whatever. But it's still good. But you know what's even better? Loki. Let's talk about that.
That's fair.
So I mentioned Doctor Who earlier in relation to Loki, because I hadn't connected it, but Melanie and I were watching this episode. And at a certain point, I was like, I love this. Like, I like this, like, traveling through time, different random planets. And I like that, looking at some of the most fun MCU movies. I love when the MCU gets away from Earth and the just generic superhero stuff. And they're just, like, doing this straight up just sci-fi stuff. It's great. And earlier today, I was watching a recap real quick, I want to, let's see. Maddie D says, it's really cool that we are seeing future events within the MCU and not just staying on Earth. Feels very much like Matt Smith's Doctor Who with a Disney budget. Oh man, can you imagine what the places he would go with Disney money? Yes, that is Dr. Seuss references. Don't cancel me, yo. Dr. Seuss isn't canceled, okay?
No. And if you're going to reference him, that's the best one to reference.
Yeah,
So.
that's pretty good. Yeah.
Oh, sorry to hear you couldn't get comfortable, Paul. He's having back pains. But that's okay. Now you're here. So I was watching a Mr. Sunday Movies YouTube video. They do like a recap or whatever. They do what we do, but with a budget.
Yeah.
Don't go watch them instead or listen to them instead.
You know, if you wanted to give us a budget, you know how you could do that?
Go to patreon.com/Grawlix podcast. It's GRAWLIX podcast. Go there.
Mm-hmm.
Over 60 bonus episodes. Anyhow, now we do sound like them because they do similar things. So only they have connections. They watched the first 2 episodes of Loki before they were released. They know people.
Whoa.
So anyway,
Yeah.
I was watching that, and one of them had mentioned, you know who would like this episode, because apparently some people don't really like this episode, and we can get into that if later if you want. But he said, I bet people, if you like Doctor Who, you probably like this episode. And that's when it clicked. I was like, oh yeah, this is very much Doctor Who. It's like future space random planet, except everybody's still just pretty much humans. And let's just throw our main characters into this random situation that they don't really have anything to do with, but they have to deal with it. And I'm like,
right.
Oh, that's like the best of Doctor Who. Like that's when Doctor Who's good, when it's just clipping along these crazy.
You even have
stories.
Different versions of the same character. You've got
Right.
like 13 and 10 running around a planet that's about to die, and they have to figure out either how to survive it or to save it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So I heard that and I was like, oh yeah, no wonder I think I like this episode so much. That was a long way to say I love this episode. I thought this one was great.
Mm-hmm.
You know what's the third thing about this episode that I love? Somehow we've got a Marvel Universe property that feels like Doctor Who and includes a actor from Cobra Kai. Homeless Lynn was the lady with the gun that they tried to have diplomacy with. That was Homeless Lynn.
Wow. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. This was a trifecta of awesome.
Maddie says, I support your budget $1 at a time. He does. You should join Matt. Go to patreon.com/Grawlix podcast.
Yeah.
He also says, dude, I have a theory. Sylvie, a.k.a. By the way, that's the name she likes to go by.
That's her name. Wow.
Yeah, I know the spelling's probably different. I don't know, but that is my name. AKA female Loki isn't a Loki. His theory is that it's not actually a Loki, but the Marvel character Enchantress from a different timeline before the Timekeepers created the Sacred Timeline, and she has been running around since trying to avoid the TVA. And I know that is a thing. That is a name in the comics that Enchantress has gone by as well.
It's a different character that is also the Enchantress, but ironically, Loki gave her powers. So
interesting.
But it's like a new Enchantress. So it's like another place where it's interesting because it seems like they're setting up young Avengers. So like both of the Maximoff twins, was it Kate Bishop is going to show up in the Hawkeye show. We've got Miss Marvel showing up in her own show eventually. And then the Sylvie character would tie in very easily and well as a new Enchantress.
Another thing I liked about this is it raises interesting questions, like if Matt's theory is wrong and it is another Loki, as she is kind of claiming to be, but not wanting to be called Loki, is it weird if Loki gets with Loki?
No, it's not. That's just taking care of yourself. I mean, everybody does it, right?
Okay, cool. Well, I was like, is it like the? I can't even say it. There's words they're not curse words, but I can't say it on the show. But Okay, yes, I get it. I get it.
Hmm.
Um, I like their dynamic. It's not like it's kind of like buddy cop, but it's obviously I, she's the straight man in this situation.
Hmm.
Speaking of who's not, no, we don't have to get into it. Has there been outrage? Because as soon as he said it, I was like, well, of course that makes sense.
I
Yeah,
think there
of
was
course.
outrage. There was outrage before it started.
Oh,
you
of
know.
course.
Yeah.
There
I think
was.
I even hinted at it
You
in
did.
the first episode because,
Oh,
you know, yeah, the gender fluidity is what makes people mad, and
But-
they're like,
That doesn't make any sense because in Norse mythology, he
Yeah.
is gender fluid. He switches back and
Right.
forth. So I don't understand why it would make a difference now.
right.
I don't
People
know.
are too sensitive.
But yeah, I enjoyed their banter, where he plays the like. I mean, he plays Loki, but
Yeah.
kind of the fool.
Hmm.
But at the same time, you know, he can kind of hold his own when he needs to.
You know what? Now that I think about it, that does make me feel like she might not be Loki because there was no mischief going on there, and he made mischief all over the place. So, you know, I don't know.
There's another theory I heard where because she explains her powers,
Mhm.
or the it's not really like the enchanting.
Yeah, they even call it enchanting.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, they're not keeping it a secret that
Mhm.
there's a connection there, but they're also playing coy with it, like maybe it's a mashup of the two characters, like it's still Loki, but it's also the Enchantress, which means maybe at the end of this whole thing they're both going to survive, or at least she will.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh, here you go. Your other theory, Jerry the Gnome. Your other theory, Maddie D, is the thing I was just getting to exactly. So he says Lamentus, which was the name of the episode, as well as like Lamentus One. Listen, when it showed would like the title come up of the planet Lamentus One, I'm like, that's not a good place. You don't want to
No.
go to a place
No.
called Lamentus One.
You don't
Also
name
the
a planet
most
that.
Doctor. That's also the most Doctor Who planet name ever.
Mhm.
Right. He said it's all just an illusion created by Sylvie from the point that she touched Loki's head in the mining vehicle. The whole
I
episode is
wondered
really
that too.
a ruse to see if she can trust Loki and steal back the time pad or whatever they call it. Vortex manipulator, as the name was. Yeah, okay, yep. Or what is the?
Oh,
okay.
the pad! It is like the pad that was it? Not Sam, but Al would come
Al,
in.
yeah.
And be
In
like,
Quantum Leap, yeah.
Ziggy says,
Hmm.
That's the other thing because they even set up. There's obvious parallels in the episode because they show how she got the information, how her powers kind of work, and how she got the information from that guard she had kidnapped,
Hmm.
or that whatever time agent, basically.
Hmm.
And then cut forward, we'll cut forward to them on the train, and they're sitting. She's sitting on one side of the table, he's on the other. They're like,
Yeah.
whatever, getting. Having deep conversations about love and stuff.
Mhm.
And yeah, I don't know. That seems super plausible, actually, to me. That theory that most of the episode is her enchanting him.
Hmm.
I also had a theory that if she's not enchanting him, that he could have potentially enchanted the idea that the box was broken.
Right.
And that at the end, he's just going to actually have the pad.
Hmm. I was curious about what in the comics because I haven't read any Thor really. What his power set is because it seems like he keeps coming up with new ones and his old ones are disappearing. Like, shouldn't he be able to just like poof them where they want to be, kind of like because we've seen him teleport before, basically, and just get back on the train or something. That right there would have helped a lot, but he doesn't do that. But then later he's like, holding up buildings and blasting people across the street and stuff. I don't know.
It is
It's
all
odd.
over the place with his powers. Yeah, he does seem to teleport at times.
At the beginning of the show,
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
how
he
he.
teleported from away from was it Stark Tower and into the middle of the desert.
Right.
And then at one point he blasted somebody away. I'm like, wait, that's like a hard illusion, because he did the fireworks thing a couple times, and then a building was falling on them, and he like deflected it. He pushed it away somehow, and that was him. So weird.
Yeah.
Matt says Sylvie doesn't have Loki's powers, but a different set of powers, much like the Marvel Comics version of Enchantress. Check out Marvel's Defenders comic book, or any time that Enchantress shows up in Thor's book. She even tells Loki how she enchants people, which sends up a flag for his second theory. Yeah.
What it almost flat out references, like Age of Ultron, where Scarlet Witch basically messes with their minds, and Thor's like, but it's okay because fortunately I am mighty, and at the same time he's been totally mind altered by Scarlet Witch when he's saying that. It's like,
right.
I know that you all have fallen prey to it, but fortunately I am mighty. And you have that moment with Loki where he's like, you can't do that to me, my mind is too strong. It was like,
yeah,
this is totally happening.
But he was also mind controlled for the like whole first Avengers movie.
Right.
So, it's possible.
I hope not. That's kind of boring. I really want them to go to the weird, like, sci-fi future neon place and watch that big thing blow up, that big arc thing. That was fun.
Oh, man. I liked the ending of the episode, too, but it's definitely a, like, no.
Yeah, I had a definite, like, oh, this is it? This is over? Ugh!
Yeah.
Moment.
Yeah, no, I loved it. That's what I'm talking about. That was great.
It's very Doctor Who way to end it too. It was like,
all they needed was the sound, the like kind of TARDIS sound they used to use for the like end zapper sound, and the zoom up to the zoom up to Loki's face where he's like,
yes, yeah.
The Eighth Doctor. Oh, he had some of the worst cliffhanger faces. So bad. Oh my god.
Did they? Oh no, yeah, they did. They had, well, I guess the Time Lords. I was gonna ask if they had like a bureaucracy of time, like every other time. But that's basically what the Time Lords are, I think.
Also, did anyone get certain, like when they got to the gold elevator, did anyone get like flashes of the Time Keepers in the background and think, oh, that's Kang? Like there was some artwork of the Time Keepers behind them, and I'm just like, that's Kang.
I don't know Kang, but I've heard
Kang the Conqueror. He's like a time. He jumps through time.
Okay.
So he could totally be one of the timekeepers, or he could be behind this. He could be manipulating Sylvie. He could have nothing to do with any of it, and he could just pop out of the chaos that is being created now. But
okay, I have heard the name in relation to this episode, but I'm not familiar with the character.
Yeah, I think the problem with Marvel and the shows, I mean, they're good shows. The problem is there's just too much stuff, too much lore, and you could read anything into every episode. But, that's just my theory.
Right.
I think in that respect, I feel like at least how they've set it up now, and I don't know how, I mean, Marvel lore, it's kind of the same with DC lore to a point. Comic books, man, they change things so often. They reboot things. Lore is inconsistent. I think comic book fans are more used to it than other, I don't know, I guess maybe novels or something. But the idea of like when they adapt a thing and then they change it and fans are upset, I feel like this does they're doing an interesting job of kind of playing with that, where it's like they're doing recognizable things that people seem to like pull, like this seems like an element from this and this and this, but they're changing it so that even the hardcore fans don't know. And really I feel like that's kind of the people who do have bigger knowledge of the comics, even though they then sometimes set themselves up to be wrong and then seem upset about it, they kind of fuel a lot of that. So I feel like the writers are aware of that and intentionally toy with it a little bit.
Well, like with the Lady Loki thing, it's like a lot of us comic nerds are like, well, there's already been Lady Loki in the comics, so of course, da 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 da. Then Lady Loki shows up and is very enchantress, and we're like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing now. And I either hate it or I'm totally on board. There's no middle ground.
It's all Mephisto.
I was just gonna say, they're probably like, you know what? Let's put a Ralph Boner somewhere in here, and drop all these hints, and then it's like nothing, it's just us making fun. But
okay, that one did upset me a little bit.
Yeah.
It upset everyone, I think.
I real quick want to pay.
Oh, it's a boner. Wait.
Yeah. I had said last episode, and I mean, I don't know, maybe it's all fake, but it seems like I was right that these people are actual people and not just some freaking clones, like some people said. But they had to be. I mean, they had to make sense otherwise. But I also think that means that what's the I can't even remember his real name. The Owen Wilson, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
Mobius.
think he rode a jet ski before and he just doesn't remember.
Right. They explain that a bit too. Where
Oh yeah,
she's
that was
like,
crazy.
She had the guard that she had kidnapped. She had memories from hundreds of years before, from her life before, and Loki's like, what? Like, yeah. So as opposed to just some people who were made by the timekeepers, that's what they're called, to work this place, they're variants that were kidnapped out of their time and brainwashed.
Right.
Yeah, because if you were some all-powerful time gods, why not just make like some Oompa Loompas for time? Not, people that are all individual and have, flavors. I don't know.
Are you saying Willy Wonka's a time god?
No.
Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, MCU confirmed.
It would make more sense that the snozberries taste like schnozberries.
And in this case, I would much rather them CGI themselves a dead actor than cast Johnny Depp as Willy Wonka.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
You know what? That boat ride was really weird. It totally could have been a TARDIS.
They went through time.
Mm-hmm.
And space.
Yep.
Relative in dimension.
Mm-hmm.
Owen Wilson is really the Owen Wilson character from Meet the Parents because he is the only character that could afford a jet ski. Also, I've heard that he will not say wow in this show.
Like at all?
At all.
He doesn't need to. We all say it enough.
Do you think that was like them being respectful? Like, no, we can't have him say that. Or do you think he's like, I know the meme. Don't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Every script he gets, he just crosses wow out of every, not even his character's dialogue, just everywhere. If somebody says it, he crosses it out.
Mm-hmm.
Like a reverse Nick Cage. Like, oh, you want full Nick Cage.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Owen Wilson's like, no, never again.
Well, yeah, and I don't know. We didn't get any of this episode was very much just them. Just we didn't get any of the Time Bureau people, the TVA or whatever. We didn't get any of that stuff. If I remember correctly, I don't know. It was good. It was a good, fun adventure, and that's why I don't know. That's my favorite MCU stuff is stuff like this where it's fun and also super sci-fi, space, time, all that.
Mm-hmm.
Do it.
Yep.
I was kind of thinking that maybe this was going to be the lame duck of the Disney Plus series, but like, nope.
It's my favorite so far.
Consistently hooking me with these shows.
I knew it was going to be my favorite all along, but it's actually done better than I even thought it was going to. And in this episode, especially, I commented from the very beginning, I think that it felt very different to me than the previous two. And in weird ways, like it seemed like they did less. And but the episode was longer. And before it felt like they were doing tons of stuff, but it went by really quick. So I don't know, it's strange, but I liked it, and yeah, it might actually be my favorite one so far.
I guess this might have been, like, in terms of actual runtime, I think this was the shortest episode, but yeah, I mean, it was all kind of character, not all, but it was mostly kind of character stuff. We didn't really get to know that much about maybe kind of sort of female Loki, but we spent a lot of time with her, and we get to see how she reacts to Loki, and it was a lot of kind of just their dynamic. So it was a lot of character stuff while they try to get from this location to another. So
There was that moment where I was like, "Oh, this is very clever," because it jumps right back in where the last episode left off, where they set the time bomb, and then we see where she was going, and it was right back to the TVA, and she had this great big plan. It was like, oh, that's perfect. That's perfect. Like, the TVA is going to be in chaos because you essentially set reset charges to all these different timelines, and it's creating chaos. And now you can just walk right into the TVA and try to do what you want to do.
And those, they're not torches. What are they? The little baton things that they have. Those things are nuts. People would be disintegrating themselves left and right. They had to get rid of
so
those.
dangerous. You don't put a disintegrator thing at the end of a stick because people are going to poke themselves with it constantly. So dangerous.
Whoops, I don't exist anymore.
It's weird that they don't have guns or something, but I mean, that's fine, but it's weird. I don't know. That's still a obviously deadly weapon. Real quick, Paul says if Loki was the lame duck show, they need to hang it up because there's so much charisma to work with. And Maddie says it feels like a mix mash of Guardians of the Galaxy, Thor, and Doctor Who / Torchwood, which are all great things. I forgot what I was gonna say, but yeah, no, it was the one. I've already said it on the show before, but it was the show that I was least like, what's that gonna be? Like, WandaVision had like a weird concept where it's like, okay, that sounds weird. Different like decades of TV sitcoms, but it ended up being kind of, well, not that weird, kind of what I maybe expected. Falcon and Winter Soldier was pretty much exactly what I thought it was going to be. Also, yeah, that was a show.
Yeah.
And this I was like, what are they going to do with Loki? Like, I just couldn't fathom what it was going to be. Definitely didn't expect it to be this.
Yeah, but you've had a thing against Loki since before that first Thor movie. Like, you never cared for that character as a character in history. So,
I mean, yeah, what's he do?
he's awesome. I don't know what you're talking about.
What's he do? I
don't know, but you ruined my dreams. I was like, someday I'm gonna have twins, and one of them's gonna be named Loki, and you're like, no. And I'm like, fine then, it's done. Nothing's ever happening.
I suspect, looking at our view numbers, Maddie D, I suspect you are indeed the only one in the Twitch chat. Paul,
right.
Paul is over here on the Facebook. Over here, we're like the timekeepers. We're not in any of those places. We exist outside of those places. But
we are the variants.
You shut your mouth. Paul,
I don't know what you're talking about.
Facebook. Yeah, we did have somebody. We had somebody on YouTube for a moment. I mean, we have hundreds of viewers everywhere.
Exactly 100. Exactly 100 viewers.
Just 99. The 100th, they keep saying they're coming, but they don't actually ever get here.
They don't actually come. Like, we almost have 100 because they're there, but then somebody dips out when the next guy comes.
Right.
It's Savannah. She goes to bed.
It's almost weird how that works.
That's strange. Okay, let's wrap it up. We've gone slightly over an hour. So, any final thoughts on this episode?
No, it was great, and I can't wait for more.
Yeah.
Paul says YouTube wouldn't load for him. Yeah, I don't know what the deal is.
What's up, internet? Weird.
Matt or Jerry says he has 98 split personalities. So with Paul, it makes 100. That would only make sense. Have you ever seen them both in the same place at the same time?
Nope.
No, I don't think I have either. Anyway. Okay, well, I'm excited for next week's episode of this show and Loki.
I'm excited for next week's episode of the Grawlix podcast.
Yeah. Where can we hear that?
You can hear it on Twitch or YouTube or Facebook at around 8:30ish on Thursdays. So
it's fun to hear you do that.
Thank you.
Promo. That's great. Hey, speaking of things that it's fun to hear you do,
Oh.
you should tell us. that reaction was so uncertain. Do you happen to? Can you think of anything that we maybe should be amazed about?
Well, give me just a second. Let me see.
In the meantime, nope.
This is not really a big thing. I don't know when they found it out. I just learned about it though. That sperm whales sleep like vertically when they go to sleep in the ocean. They they take a deep breath and then they just kind of go down with their head still facing the top of the water and just stay there and sleep like that. Isn't that strange? I thought it was weird and I also loved it. So I just wanted to share that. That's it.
It creeps me out for some. I guess it makes sense. Like, how else is a thing gonna sleep in the ocean? But it creeps me out.
Well, it's
something weird about it.
I don't think that's how most fish sleep, but that's how they sleep.
Weird.
It's like almost like sleeping standing up. It feels like, but you're in the water, so it doesn't really matter which direction you are, I suppose.
Okay, wow, you guys. I'm not sure what Matt's Star Trek.
Well, there's
vibe.
space whales. Space whales.
Right. Okay, and then Paul says whales are reverse vampires? Question mark.
That one I don't understand.
They hang upside down.
Instead of.
They're up,
gotcha,
right.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
But they don't even they don't travel that way.
No.
I guess we travel like this and then lay that way, but still, it seems that's such a strange fact.
Yeah, I know. It's great.
Hippos don't sleep like that. Ties into, was it last week's or the week before? I don't remember which one.
Last week.
Oh man. All right. As I mentioned earlier, July 1st, check out 60s Reboot Podcast because Matt had me on to do a commentary for Batman the movie. And I already pimped it earlier, but I just wanted to mention it again because that's the only specific thing coming up I can think of. If you're in the U.S., 4th of July is... Oh, wait, what day is it? Oh, that's like a Sunday. We still have an episode before that, so... You know what? I changed my mind. On July 2nd, go listen to Matt's episode because July 1st, you should come back here at 8:30.
Yeah.
And listen to us again. Yes.
But in the meanwhile, you can go and listen to all of Matt's other episodes. Where do you go to listen to that?
Oh yeah, and Paul's stuff too. If you just go to the same place, you can find all of that.
Wow, I bet you could find both of those guys' shows. And I know Paul was editing a new Moose's Monster Mash earlier tonight. In fact, go to electronicmediacollective.com or emcpod.net, as in EMC Podcast Network. That might be easy to remember. emcpod.net. And you can find 60s Reboot Podcast, just bull spit. I have to say it very specifically. With Moose or Moose's Monster Mash. Those are the... Oh, if I'm going to do them all, I got to do them all. These guys are pumping out the podcast. Because Matt also does, hey, I got a new book and comics with my kids. Yes.
Yep. And just in case, because it seems like most of our fans end up becoming podcasters. If you do, you can join EMC as well. So... give us a chat or a call and join us in the podcast fun.
Yeah, there are links on the Electronic Media Collective website to join if you have a podcast. And you know what? Make sure your podcast sounds good though. If you need some help with that, go to podedit.com.
Right,
Hey,
right.
Jesse, how about you? I know you got things to promote.
Oh yeah, go to my TikTok where you can hear me make all sorts of nerd sounds. That's a weirdly familiar phrase. You can find me at nerdsounds.com, but it's all words and not the actual website. Because if you went to the actual website, you know where that would take you? It would take you to the Grawlix podcast.com.
Weird.
Yeah.
It's all interconnected. It's all wibbly wobbly like a time stream.
I think we finally no, we can't do this. I was about to say we've joked forever about like what do we call our listeners, Grawlickers, but I think we finally found it. Paul says we're pod hoes. I'm just gonna put that there. Okay.
Oh, what about Megan? Oh yeah, Megan Ramit. Yeah, those are things too. Check us out.
All right. Enough of that. Let me tell you about Humble Bundle. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. We've
Hey,
gone
did
long
anybody see the new Rick and Morty? There's a new Rick and Morty, right?
No. I did watch
No.
some old ones, but not the new one.
All right, me either. So I don't feel so bad.
Okay.
but, it's out there, and maybe we should watch that before next week.
I
At
think
least
we-
one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a good idea. I'll remember to do that because it's great.
It is.
Okay. Thanks for watching, everybody who tuned in. Thanks for listening, everyone in the future on the podcast feed. I'm not going to promote any more links at you, so just have a good weekend. Matt says, hey, where can I get some cool merch?
That's a great question. We're not going to answer it.
Nope.
You can go to any one of those sites, and there might be a merch link.
Yeah, there might be. And that merch link might get way cooler here in the short future. But again, we're done promoting for now.
Yeah.
That's secret. Special secret. Secret sauce. Have a good weekend, everybody.